Welcome, fam. You're tuned in to Politics, Religion, and Whiskey, the Josh Terry podcast, brought to you by Raisin Grace Studios. Today, I have with me two very special folks, Kurt and Renee McDonald with Mission 22. How are y'all doing today?
Good, thank you. Thank you for having us.
I'm excited. This is going to be a good one. Kurt, don't go getting shy on us now. You got to say, hey, you probably talk more than all of us.
No way.
I doubt that. For everybody out there that does not know what Mission 22 is, we lose 22 veterans a day on average to mental health issues. And I could not be happier to have y'all in here to talk about your trials, your battles, and the men and women that you've helped along the way and all that Mission 22 does. So every once in a while it's best for me to be quiet and let one of y'all have the floor. And so, Renee, tell us, your role and everything with Mission 22.
So I am the Region 11 leader with Mission 22. Mission 22 has over 2,500 volunteers nationwide. All of us are volunteers. We don't get paid for this. We don't get paid to go out to events. We don't get paid travel or anything. We do this because we're passionate about it. Obviously, it has affected us in one way or another. So we go out to events, we meet people, we talk, we tell others about what Mission 22 does and the programs and the services that we offer to our veterans. It's something that we're passionate about. I can't say that enough. I get really excited when I'm standing there talking to a veteran, and you can see in their face kind of the pain that they're going through. And I talk to them and get them set up on the website just so they can go on the website and enroll in some of our programs. And you see that glimmer of hope in their eyes.
And when you say programs, kind of give them an idea of some of the programs that y'all do.
So we offer everything from a 1-year intensive therapy program that we bring medical professionals to that veteran via Skype or FaceTime, some type of online program. We go everything down to horse therapy. We assist veterans with getting service dogs. We do environmental treatment such as fishing trips and hunting trips. Whatever helps that veteran react best. The days of laying on a couch and telling someone about your challenges, they're not been proven successful with some of our nation's veterans.
And you're talking about therapy. You're talking about just going to a therapist that just wants the paycheck, right? That's how I view them anyway.
Yeah, it's going and just sitting down somewhere and going through kind of the demons in your head. It doesn't really work. You need to get them out. You need to work out. We offer gym memberships too. It's been proven that exercise helps with mental stability. So anything that veteran reacts to best, we offer it, or if we don't offer it, we're willing to try and reach out to someone in their community to offer it for them.
Y'all, I'm telling, I ran into them for the first time last August, and ever since then, I already kind of knew what Mission 22 was, but to see y'all firsthand, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's so awesome to see what y'all do, how selfless y'all are. It's just one thing after another, and the way that y'all help people. That's one of the reasons I had to have y'all on here, to where hopefully we can reach a couple more folks. That I deal with mental health issues. My depression and suicide attempt back in 2010. I was not a veteran. I never served. Wish would have, but I was chicken shit. So I was scared, didn't know. Now when I see I'm around folks like y'all and the other vets that I've got to meet through y'all, I have the utmost respect. And Kurt was one of the first ones I met. And you got to kind of tell a little bit about you too now, big fella. You can't just let the wife do all the talking. I'm sure you're used to that, but you can't let it today.
Just a little bit. So I served in the Marine Corps from 1999 to 2004. I enlisted as a helicopter crew chief and flew on the CH-46 Echo helicopter in the Marine Corps, which has since been retired. Flew over 1,000 hours while I was in the Marine Corps. Got out of the Marine Corps as a sergeant in 2004 after a tour in Iraq in 2003, 2004. And then came back and went back into the construction industry. And through that time, me and Renee would always see veterans that were struggling and things were going on. She's always had a big heart. We'd see people on the side of the road. We'd make sure we had to stop and help them and see what was going on. Families that needed help just about anywhere. But we found that the need was in the military community, that the veterans were struggling with the PTSD and traumatic brain injuries. And it was becoming more and more apparent. Me and Renee will tell you, when we're out at events, it touches everybody. It touches the veterans, it touches their family, their friends, people that they've been in contact with. And we've lost people that we've served with throughout the years that we never would have thought we'd lost. So over the years, we've just continued on that mission, and following up and joining Mission 22 about a little over a year and a half, 2 years ago, actually allowed us to get out there and meet more and more people. So through that, we're able to let them know that the programs are there, they're available. Mission 22 is 100% separate of the VA. Nothing gets reported to the VA. It's all confidential. So I personally don't even know the veterans that go through the programs, what programs they went to, any of their background, any of that. That's all corporate. HIPAA laws, prohibit us from knowing any of that. The only way that I know if a veteran's gone through a program is that veteran has actually told me or talked to me about the program. So that helps a lot of the veterans, because they're worried about their guns being taken away. They're worried about anything that is going to prohibit them further on down in life from becoming successful due to having a stain on their record or something that stops them from performing a duty because they sought help in something that they needed help with.
Okay, I didn't know that could happen. So if I was in the service or just got out, and I went to a therapist and they diagnosed me under whatever, they can take away their firearms, take away other positions, like as far as employment or whatever. Is that what that meant?
Every state's different, and it seems like the world is becoming more and more that way. Like, it's going towards that way, and veterans are concerned about that. They're truly concerned about their privacy, and they want to make sure that whatever they do isn't going to hinder them later on. Just like anybody else, that the government and everything is changing day in and day out. I mean, that's a whole other show for you.
Well, we probably end up going somewhere with this, but yeah. No, you're right.
Now, we got a call just a couple weeks ago from an active service member, and he needed help. He knew that he needed help, and he reached out to say, I can't go to my CO because then I potentially risk being promoted. It's supposed to be talked in the military, and they have made strides to bring it up in the military, but there's still active duty members that are worried that if they bring it up and they talk to someone, they could risk that next promotion.
But there's still a stigma in the actual services that they want to stay away from. Every command is different. So one command may look at you seeking help as a positive, whereas another one may see as a negative. And just like they rotate duty stations, commanders rotate out every 2 to 3 years too.
But wouldn't it make sense to be more willing to help these individuals? Because if they're worried about a stain, what if they go out and do something crazy afterwards, after they sought help and wasn't given it, or was scared to get help? I don't understand why there would be. I get this kind of the stigma behind it, but it seems like the whole military, every branch would push, every officer or whoever would push to help more.
Just from my experience, being in the Marine Corps, we always tried to help our guys out, our younger and junior Marines that were underneath of us all the time. But when they do make that mistake and they've been seeking help, they kind of get labeled. It's just like if the guy goes to medical for an ingrown toenail once a week, well, they call him a medical commando. That's where he wants to go. He just wants to get away from work or do this or do that. And it's very difficult to see guys that are struggling with mental health issues. If you have mental health issues and you take certain medications, you're not even eligible to try and enlist in the military.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, our daughter, one of our 18-year-olds, she wanted to go into the Coast Guard. Well, she has had mental health issues for 6-7 years now, and even though it's under control and she seeks assistance from medical professionals, and they have her on a regular regimen, and she's able to control
function normally and everything,
function normally and work normally and keep up good grades, but she's been permanently disqualified for it.
I just don't. I don't. I mean, I get it, but it also seems like with one of the things that you were saying a while ago is gym member or doing gym memberships, doing these other activities. You would think that someone who dealt with some of these issues by going into the military and having structure and having all this around you, you think that they would kind of be geared towards it, like for it to help them.
You would think so. The medical field and the whole entirety of mental health in the military is changing. You know, it's going positive, it's going negative. It does. It's like everything else. You know, it's got that wave, and unless policies are put in place to help everybody, you know, it's going to continue on a downhill slide. But losing the military members that we have coming back, it's a lot more prevalent that we know of now versus the guys coming back from Vietnam. Those guys came back, they were spit on, they were kicked, they were hated. You know, people said we weren't supposed to be in that war. You know, we could look at it a million different ways. The truth of the matter is those guys stood up, whether they were drafted or whether they volunteered to go, and they went and fought for our country.
Absolutely.
So there's no stopping our support for them. Politicians made decisions to send us over there. That's where we ended up. You know, those guys, a lot of them didn't have a choice because they were drafted.
One of the things that I just have a problem, and I love our military. I hate how military is treated after service. And I have heard from a lot of people, like the VA is a joke. I don't know firsthand about a lot of it, but not getting the care that they need, and then going to the VA and them just wanting to shove pills down your throat instead of helping you.
There is differing stories. You know, I got out of the military in 2004. In 2006, I went back and had ACL surgery because while I was in, apparently my ACL wasn't even there.
Oh, my gosh.
So, but I've not had a problem with it since. So I went to the VA in Gainesville, Florida, which is in conjunction with Shands and the University of Florida down there. And apparently at the time, the doctor that did my surgery was the leading orthopedic surgeon in the nation. Well, I'm that 1 in a million because I stayed in surgery longer due to a tool break-in while they had my knee spread open. So I ended up in there for longer, but had the best surgeon doing the surgery. It happens. You know, there's nothing I can say about it. They got all the pieces out, and I haven't had trouble with my knee. You know, the worst I have is a little bit of arthritis and the change of the weather.
That's probably with age. I mean, you're aging well, but I don't think any of us are going to escape that. Have y'all had a lot of people, just curious, that have tried the VA first and then tried some of your programs that are associated with Mission 22, and they felt like they got better results or dealt with a different atmosphere or a better group of folks than what they dealt with there? Have you heard the other side of the story? What you just told?
We don't get all of the backstory from everybody. You know, we don't always talk to the veterans again once they get into the programs, unless they become active ambassadors with Mission 22. We don't really see them a whole lot. We do have a veteran, a friend of ours. His name's Jerome. That we met him actually at the first event for Mission 22 that we ever went to. And he was speaking with Jerry Strickland, who's one of the Florida State leaders. And Jerry got him to go to that event. It was called Pulling for 22, which they had at the barn in Sanford, Florida. And they had some Barbie Jeeps that they had tug of wars with. It was a good day. Everybody had fun. You know, had a bunch of raffles, bunch of Jeep stuff going on, car show, you know, things like that. And we met Jerome that day, and he was struggling very hard with not so much mental health issues, but physical health issues.
Yeah.
He was blown up in Humvee, I believe, in 2011, and was having trouble with circulation in his legs. So just last year, he decided to have his leg amputated based on what was going on and poor circulation, things like that. And his quality of life in speaking with him has jumped tremendously.
Really?
He is not in the pain all the time. He's not taking pills. He's got real big into hunting. He's actually come up here to Statesboro and hunted with the KT team last year and this year. They're actually another organization that takes veterans hunting that are disabled.
Oh, that's cool.
They do amazing.
And what's that called?
It's KT team.
KT team.
It's phenomenal. I mean, what they do for these.
Y'all going to definitely have to get us in touch with them, because if y'all are saying it's a good organization, then we definitely want to talk to them.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things that, he had setbacks with physical abilities and things like that based on that. And ever since he has had the surgery, his quality of life has gone up tremendously, and that's nice that we can actually physically see that. He'll come and stay at our house. They got their camper parked in our front yard right now, but it gets them away from their everyday life and things that they do. I know he's medically retired from the military, but it still gives him a purpose in life. Like your flag that's on the wall, he's making flags and stuff now.
That's cool. You're going to have to get me
He's
one.
got a CNC router and
Yeah.
whatnot.
We're definitely going to have one of
So
those in here.
it's just seeing him start to bring things together and actually create his life over again, in a sense, now that he's able to do things more easily, per se.
Now, a while ago when you said you like the Pullin' for 22 event, those raffles and stuff, that's how y'all generate the money for Mission 22, right? Is by those kinds of events.
Correct. We do it there's different ways we do it. Memorials that we have for veterans throughout the year, we raise funding at those. The events that we go to, last year we were lucky enough to go to like 20 concerts that you saw us at. One of the promoters actually brought us out for those, and free of charge to us.
Yeah.
Just wanted us on the property to be able to talk to people.
I know everything we do. We love having y'all there.
And then through private donors too. Last year, the Till Valhalla project donated over $300,000 to Mission 22 alone. And they're an organization that makes T-shirts and stuff, kind of like similar to Nine Line. They have their own T-shirt line and goods. They've got Till Valhalla bracelets.
I've seen their stuff. It's really cool.
They're trying to get out there too. They're out of Jacksonville, Florida. I actually went a few weeks ago and actually introduced myself to them because I had never met them. So I went to their shop and met them and talked to them and whatnot. But there's organizations across the country, and putting the funding into the programs for the veterans is really our biggest goal as volunteers. We aren't counselors, so we can't physically counsel the veterans and help them in that way. But if they want to come hang out with us in events, they want to go to Jeep events with us, anything like that, there's another organization that Mission 22 is partners with called Four Wheel to Heal. They set up with veterans, and they'll take veterans out and go wheeling for the weekend out in their Jeeps. It gets them out of the house. It gets their mind on something else that they can enjoy. As a matter of fact, I think Four Wheel to Heal's got a group of veterans out in Moab, Utah this weekend. So there's a myriad of outlets that Mission 22 has touched with and became partners with, which allows us to put all these programs to play for veterans. If a veteran's in Macon, Georgia, and they want to get involved in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gyms, and Mission 22 doesn't actually have a gym in Macon, Georgia, but the veteran knows there's one right down the road from his house, corporate will actually get in contact with that gym and set them up with a scholarship as close to them as possible.
That's awesome. So besides for going to those events, I imagine there's probably other ways that you can donate, maybe online or any of those things. And also, too, just so I know from on a little bit here, if I was to donate, let's say $10 to you, it doesn't go to this area. It'll go to the overall Mission 22. So it's not an individual you're donating to or a group like y'all. What do y'all considered? Ambassadors for Georgia?
Ambassadors, and Renee's considered the Regional 11 leader.
Okay. So it doesn't go for you to distribute. It goes to the actual Mission 22 to help. You don't have to be in the area to get help, is what I'm saying.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes. And her as a leader, about once a year, they actually go through and send us a listing of how many veterans were helped in your state, in your area, because it's not only us it's not us deciding who gets help. It's the veterans actually going on to Mission 22 and filling out the paperwork. It's not a whole big long questionnaire, but they ask you what you're interested in. And then corporate contacts the veteran directly and tries to put them in contact with the program that they're interested in. Sometimes Mission 22 will actually evaluate it and say, that's good and we like that, but we also want you to try this program. So they try and tailor it specific to each veteran. They're actually involved with a group called Amari Global. And Amari Global provides all natural wellness supplements. So instead of taking medical narcotic pills. You know, they're taking an all-natural supplement that'll help them with their brain function, their gut functions, making sure that their body is actually performing to 100%. You know, we're not in the military anymore. We're not lean. We're not mean. I got a little bit of a belly anymore, but
A little.
Even on a podcast, your wife knows how to take shots at you. There's no forgiving there. No, I just think that's awesome. And you just brought up something that I absolutely love is getting off of those supplements, like the pharmaceuticals. I love all natural supplements and everything. Do you know any more like about that, like that company that you were just talking, what they kind of do?
Amari Global, if the veterans in what used to be called our WIN program is now Recovery and Resiliency, they would actually send the veterans to a local lab and get their blood drawn and send it to Amari's lab. And Amari's lab would basically talk to Mission 22 and determine which supplements they needed to be on to detox and make sure that their body was functioning properly. Because, you know, alcohol, any of them that are on any kind of drugs or anything like that, you know, they try and steer them away from that to get back on the all-natural stuff that
I love that.
isn't going
I absolutely
to
love
affect
that.
their body functions.
And that's what now, Amari?
Amari Global.
We're going to have to look them up. I absolutely love that. Now, I know that you've shared with me before, but how did you two end up as a part of Mission 22? How did you come about of being in this organization, finding it and everything?
So I was actually on a work trip in Indianapolis, and I was sitting there after work and going through events in Florida, and it came up with the Pulling for 22 that we went to in Orlando. And I just reached out to Heidi Strickland, who is Jerry's wife, and she was one of the organizers, and I said, hey, you know, this looks really interesting. What can we do to help? My husband's a veteran. We obviously know that there's a need for something like Mission 22, but I don't know anything about it. And so she was real quick to say, I need 4 gift cards, and I need this, and I need that. And I said, we're on it. We'll be there. I flew back home, I think, on Friday. And Saturday morning at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, we got up and we drove to Orlando. And again, brand new, didn't know a single soul, didn't know exactly what Mission 22 was about, but we knew that there was a need. And as Kurt said before, I'm all about, if somebody's on the side of the road, we're going to stop. It may be a serial killer, but we're going to stop.
You're taking the chance.
So, you know, we got down there, and there were 2 individuals that had went through the Mission 22 programs, and they gave their story, and it was absolutely touching. I will tell you, as fast as we could get in the car and get situated, I started researching Mission 22, because we all know there's some organizations, and I'm not going to call out any names whatsoever, but their funding doesn't go to what they say is going to.
She won't say it, but I'll say it. Wounded Warriors, right? I mean, they're not nodding their heads. But I've had several people that have told me those stories. And organizations like Mission 22 need their name out there because of those other organizations that say they're going to do something, and then they don't. And it ends up just being pocket or money in somebody else's pocket that doesn't need that money and is not giving out help. So that's one reason why I love you guys. It's because I know the money goes where it's supposed to.
Well, in my research, I came across, you know, all 501c3s is public record. You can look anything up that you need to make sure that it's a legitimate company or organization. And I looked up that at that time in 2018, I believe it was, 84% of all funding that came in went straight into the veterans programs. And then I started realizing that we're all volunteers.
Yeah.
We do this because, you know,
There's a need.
there's a need. It's touched us one way or another. We want to help others. So we just kind of jumped in. You know, Kurt will tell you, Jerry will tell you, anybody will tell you that I'm jump in first and then I'll figure everything out later. And Jerry said, hey, do you want to be the North Florida state leader? I had literally been, I think, to 3 or 4 events, and I said, yeah, let's do it. And then about a month and a half later, they called and said, "Hey, you want to be the South Georgia State Leader too?" And I'm like, "Yep, let's go."
Why not?
So I think in 2019 we had 26 events throughout the year that Kurt and I attended in the state of Georgia and North Florida.
That's awesome. Now, what made it to where is you? I know you said that there was a need, but was there something with y'all that made you have to be part of this organization? Was there family? Was there something that y'all had been through to where you knew that Mission 22 and this was something that was real, that the mental health crisis with our veterans and everything was something that needed? Was there a familiarity? Was there something with y'all personally? I guess what I'm asking.
I had always been going back in the construction industry when I came back. I knew we had a lot of veterans that would have a limb amputated, or even if it was a finger. There was a lot of amputations because of things that would happen overseas. And I always thought that I could take those guys and put them to work. They can still run a computer. They're still completely capable of visualizing things. And I could make them estimators in my business and a business I worked for, anything like that in that realm. And I wanted to put guys to work. And that's kind of right before Renee found Mission 22. I was actively trying to do that. I was recruiting for 5 positions at a company I worked for that paid $50,000 to $60,000 a year. Well, organizations that I contacted, I got 0 phone calls back, and I wasn't able to fill any of those positions through that way. So that was really something that kind of helped me. And the only thing that really bothers me about my time in service is being a helicopter crew chief. And I flew just about every night in Fallujah and Ramadi when they were blowing up in 2004. And the worst part in my mind is bringing our guys home in body bags.
Yeah.
I don't talk about it much because it's not on my priority list. I'm glad we were able to bring those guys home. We've got veterans from Korea, World War II, and other wars that our country's been in that still aren't accounted for. They still haven't been brought home. So if I could help in my ways of doing that, I'm glad to do that. So overall, being part of Mission 22 has kind of brought that together.
Got you. I have the utmost respect for that. I know it's hard to talk about and the things that y'all had to see, but in my mind, opening up that book, opening up that story, is somebody will hear this and realize that the stuff that they're normal, I guess, is they're not to normalize having a mental health problem, but to know that you're not alone. It's normal to feel that way because there's other people that feel that way. I know with my anxiety and my depression, there's times that I just feel like I'm the only person in the world that thinks this way. Like there's something wrong with me. And it's really not. There's other people that are just like that, and that's one thing that I love about this organization and y'all is you help people realize that seeking help is okay. That I should be seeking help.
I have personally not went to the doctor for PTSD or traumatic brain injury, but I deal with things just, I'm a full-time student now too, and a couple semesters ago I had trouble remembering things that I learned 5 minutes before. I couldn't remember. My wife tells me that I sleep all night, but I wake up and 5 minutes after I get up, I'm completely exhausted.
Same.
I mean exhausted to where I'm ready to go back to sleep. And a lot of that has come up that I've talked to people about that have had the PTSD and TBI say that a lot of those items are related to having PTSD and traumatic brain injury.
What is TBI?
Traumatic brain injury.
Okay. I had no idea what that was.
Any kind of concussion or, large concussions that would go off from bombs or, anything like that, if something blew up close to them or whatnot, and then things like that can get triggered. I tell her I don't remember a lot of my time being in Iraq. I don't know if my brain has suppressed those memories or something like that, but I just don't remember them. Like the daily routines are almost a blur. I remember a couple specific items that happened while I was there, but the rest of it is almost blurred together.
Do you find that like a common thing between veterans?
In people that I've talked to, yes.
I would almost figure that it would be the complete opposite. I would figure that time stood still, that it was so slow, and that everything was just etched to where you couldn't forget it.
Well, and that's different. People react differently. You know, he will forget something 5 minutes ago, and I can remember everything about the day 5 years ago.
But I'll remember events that happened when I was 2 years old, when you really didn't have
Our
a
brains,
lot of-
brains are very interesting.
Right.
I don't understand them.
And sometimes when there's a traumatic event, your brain just kind of shuts off. And you live in right here, right now. And that's what the military does. They train them that they can react without even thinking. I mean, you do the same exercise over and over. He's told me about touch and goes over and over and over, to where when there are bullets flying at you, you can do a touch and go and not even
Touch
think
and go.
about it.
What? Can you kind of give me a little?
Just like we recently had a fuel truck that decided to roll over in front of our house. in the middle of the night.
I saw.
So it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and both of us jumped up and our feet hit the ground. I looked out the window and I could see that it was already on fire.
Wait, let's go back. It was 3 o'clock in the morning, and it sounded like Chicken Little, the sky is falling.
I seriously thought I was back in Iraq or Afghanistan.
I bet you did. I saw the flames.
So,
You had to look out your window and think Armageddon just happened.
well, it wasn't that bad to start with. So when my feet hit the ground and I could look out the window real quick, I could see that it was on fire through the vent tube on top of the tanker, and it was rolled on its side. So I hit the ground. I told her, I said, get the kids, get out of the house. That's all I said.
Wait, no, go back.
I was
This is that 5 minutes he doesn't remember. He screamed, "Call 911," as he kicks over the bucket of Legos that are on the floor.
Insult to injury.
I
Oh
was
my
back.
gosh.
I ended up on my butt, I believe. So I hit the first floor, grabbed the fire extinguisher, and I'm running out the door. Now, mind you, I got a pair of
Tights, like the
like the under
Compression pants.
compression pants.
Compression pants.
Those and a t-shirt. That's it.
And you was picking on my picture earlier.
So I'm out the door, and I got a fire extinguisher in my hand, and I make it about halfway to the truck because,
When did you realize the fire extinguisher wasn't big enough?
well, that wasn't it. The only reason I already knew it wasn't big enough. You know, being in helicopters, I know what a fuel
Yeah.
spill will do and catch on fire. But my goal was to get the driver out of the truck if he was in the truck. And I made it about halfway there, and I thought our neighbor was in her front yard screaming. Now, mind you, we had already lived there for 9 months and hadn't met her yet. But I made it about halfway to the truck, and I could hear somebody screaming in her yard. So I went that way. And come to find out it was the driver. No shirt, no shoes, just wearing a pair of pants, and that's it. And he was in shock, screaming already. So I got him behind our house just to be protected from the truck in case it did blow up. And in this time, she can take over because she had a whole pile of stuff going on in the house.
So, back up. That's his side. He got out. He got the driver. They went behind the house. My side is call 911. As I am already in the hallway with our 12-year-old that has special needs, and she is having a meltdown because it's 3 o'clock in the morning. She heard a loud bang. Our whole house shook, and she has no idea what's going on. And I have her wrapped around my legs, trying to get to my phone that's on the windowsill as I'm stepping on Legos going, shit, 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 shit. And I get on the phone. I swear if we could get this 911 call, everybody would be like probably laughing hysterically. I call, and I don't know if it's because Claxton is so little that they don't have crazy things like this, or if the lady was halfway asleep. I said, there's a fuel truck in front of our house and it's on fire. And she said, a what? And I said, a fuel truck. And she said, what's that? I said, it has liquid in it and it is burning. And so then she said, was anybody injured? And I said, I have no idea. I'm upstairs still. And As I'm trying to grab kids, all I hear is Kurt open the front door and scream, "Get everybody out right now!" So I have one kid in the left arm, one kid in the right arm, and now my 14-year-old has joined in, and she has both of her hands on my back. I'm holding the phone with my shoulder and jumping every other stair as I get downstairs. Well, the 911 dispatcher was so calm, and she's like, "I need you to find your husband to find if anybody is injured." I'm trying to get out the back door. Well, I'm the idiot, and I lock the back door instead of just leave it alone because it was obviously unlocked. And I'm like, "I can't get out of my house." And she goes, "Is your house on fire?" And I'm like, "No, our house isn't on fire." "Well, why can't you get out?" "I don't know." And then I realized, oh, because it's locked. And I said to her, "Well, because I'm the idiot that just locked it." I get out to the back, and she keeps on, "I need you to find your husband. I need you to find your husband. I need to know if somebody is injured." And I finally said, "Listen, lady, you're going to have to either send a coroner or an ambulance because nobody's going to walk from that without any scraps or scratches on them." So we get to the...
Sure enough, the driver didn't have a scratch on
Yeah.
him.
Really?
Yeah, amazingly. Jesus had the wheel with him. He
dove out of the truck. His shoes at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, this started at 3 o'clock in the morning. His shoes at 6 o'clock in the afternoon were still in the middle of the road.
Really?
And the truck was gone.
So when it hit the roll, he dove out the window?
It rolled on its side. He dove out the window. The radio played for 14 hours straight.
I don't
That's-
know about 14, but
Well,
it played all
the
day.
entire time the truck burned.
Oh my gosh. You know,
9,000 gallons of fuel.
my favorite part about that story, though, is besides for your complete meltdown and your ordeal, was your first thought was to go to the driver in the vehicle, where a lot of us would have been like, all right, I'm protecting my family, I'm grabbing them. You knew she had them, of course, but I don't know if I'm running into that. Like, I don't know if I see a fuel truck on fire, knowing that it's
Like
going to
I said,
explode.
It was nowhere near the pictures you saw.
Yeah.
At that point, it was only a little bit coming out the top vent. So it wasn't.
Yeah, but I know
completely
fuel go
engulfed.
fast.
Yes.
Fuel go boom. So
Yes.
my brain is gonna. You're wired different than I would be, and that's probably the military, the courage side of you that I lack. But you knew to run. Like, you knew to run into like a dangerous situation, and you probably didn't think twice about it.
But you've got to look at it in a different world. You're absolutely right. You know, we get wired differently than everybody else. You know, we go through the training. Just to become a helicopter crew chief, you learn how to sit in a helicopter, get dunked in the water, and flipped upside down with a blindfold and have to get out.
Do what? It's just blindfolded, upside down, dumped in the water.
Yep. Because when a helicopter lands in the water, the weight is all on the top with the transmission.
It's gonna
to the
shift.
rotor head. It rolls 180 degrees. So you learn how to sit there and wait until all the violent motion has stopped, and then egress the aircraft. Well, it's normally dark in the bottom of the ocean or anywhere that you're at, in the bottom of a river, wherever that may happen. So you train blindfolded to get out, and you learn how to reach and grab and get out of the aircraft.
I never had any idea about that.
Every air crew in the military just about trains in a helo dunker. In the that flies in a helicopter, they usually train in a helo dunker.
Did y'all have any other training that's similar to those along those lines? Because I would think a lot of folks didn't know that. I don't think that's common knowledge.
That and the air crews typically go through a school called SEER School.
SEER School.
Oh, here comes the rabbit story.
The rabbit story.
Which is survival, evasion, resistance, and escape.
Okay.
So basically, if you essentially get put into a POW situation, and in that, you learn how to evade and live off the land. Well, our school was in Maine in April, so there was still 4 feet of snow on the ground, and there was no twigs and berries. There, you were eating little twigs that had seeds off the trees and stuff like that. Well, they also teach you how to get wildlife. There was no wildlife in Maine at that time of the year.
Some snow owls, maybe,
So we were brought some rabbits. Have you ever killed a rabbit with your bare hands?
No, I have not had the pleasure.
You don't want to. So there's
They
the thing-
squeal, right?
There's the thing called a karate chop. So you put its back legs in your hands and you karate chop its
All right,
neck.
wait. Disclaimer: kids don't do this at home.
Yeah, don't
Do not do
karate
this
chop
at
your
home.
rabbit to death.
I have never heard a rabbit squeal so loud in my life.
That's what I've always heard that a rabbit squealing is one of
If
the
you
worst
don't-
noises
if
ever.
you don't break its neck, it squeals like there is no tomorrow, and you got to keep hitting it till it squeals, till it stops squealing. And that is the worst. That's probably one of the most traumatic things I've ever heard in my life, just piercing my ears because it's not dead standing in my hands.
Now, how long does this SEER school? How long does that simulation or that whatever you're
It's
doing?
I think it was a 21-day school at the time. Because you've got classroom instruction, then you've got
How long are you out in the
training.
wilderness?
And I want to say the field op was somewhere between about 7 days. 6 or
7 days. Defend just for yourself. Did they put like you couldn't go past a certain point, that you had to stay in this designated area?
I don't know how they design it all.
Okay.
You get caught.
You get caught. Everybody gets caught,
There's some way, shape, or form you're getting caught.
but there's no way to not get caught, I guess. That's what it's set up for.
The whole school is to teach you what
Okay.
happens when you do get caught. So, yes, you do get caught at some point. Some quicker than others, some longer than.
How long did you last?
I couldn't even remember. To be honest with you, I don't remember.
Oh my gosh. Every time I think, you know what I should have done? I should have joined the military. I hear that. Every time I'm like thinking to myself, you know what? I wish I'd have been a Marine.
So the military has these cool things called 3-part sleeping bags. You know,
3-part sleeping bags.
You've got your summer part, you've
Yeah.
got your winter part, and then you've got a Gore-Tex cover that goes over it. So you essentially sleep in a cocoon, and you close it up, and you don't see anything. It's covered your whole face, everything. When you go to sleep on top of the snow, and you wake up and there's that much ice on top of it from the heat that came out of your body and just the moisture, it's cold.
Oh, I can't imagine.
But you wake up and you're 100 degrees because you've been in this sleeping bag all night.
I had no idea. I thought Paris Island was the hard part.
No, the sand fleas, that's still number one.
Every time I have been to Savannah, I've not had to deal with the sand gnats or fleas, whatever they're called, anywhere else. I can only imagine how bad that y'all had to deal with them. Like they're the worst things ever.
Every day for 3 months.
Oh my gosh. When did you do one tour? Is that what you said?
I did one tour in Iraq and then came back, and construction had downturned in 2011, and the State Department actually bought 20 of the helicopters that I flew on in the Marine Corps. So I went back and worked for them through a civilian contract for just under 2 years.
Cool. Any life-changing experiences over there?
For Renee,
For bad or good, for bad or good.
for Renee, she feels that she got PTSD while I was there because our base got attacked while I was on the phone with her, while I was a civilian.
While you were on the phone,
Yeah, because we had
you were a contractor
wireless.
at that point.
We had wireless internet on our base, so I basically had FaceTime, and I was talking to her at 5 o'clock in the morning, our time over there, which was, I think it was midnight or something. It's somewhere in
It
there.
was 8.5 hour difference.
Yeah. So
Afghanistan is 8.5 hour difference from the Eastern time zone.
So from the time, because once that base is attacked,
everything
isn't all
shut-
communications and
everything
everything
got
shut
shut-
down?
everything
How
got
long did it
shut
take
down.
before you heard back from him?
She watched everything happen on BBC.
Yeah.
When you say it was attacked, like full on missiles dropping, kind of give us like a little image that go with it.
Our whole base got attacked by, I think it was 4 or 5 insurgents from about 1.5 miles away. And they managed to hit just about every aircraft we had with shrapnel in one shape or form.
So you're sitting there watching this.
Well, we were on FaceTime and I started hearing a couple booms, and then all of a sudden, I gotta go, click. And so, of course, I'm all nosy. I want to know what's going on, make sure he's all right. And so I turned on BBC. Oh, they were super nice to show you everything. And they started showing, like, the buildings that the insurgents were in, and they would zoom away. And then, they give you information that's not true. And they said, I think they said 2 contractors had been killed. And, of course, I'm having a meltdown because I have 5 kids at home, one that's not even a year old, and not knowing what was going on. It was 24 hours later when he finally got to call me, and I mean, it was like I just sat there and just sobbed.
What? Okay. Whenever he called, was it where you had a cell phone where his name popped up on your cell phone, or was it something else? Like,
It was through FaceTime.
Okay.
Or through my email address. You know, it would go through, and I'd call her.
That would have been the scariest phone call ever to pick up. Well, I just don't know. It would have been so, in my mind, I know you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that this phone is ringing, but at the same time, like, what's on the other end of it?
Well, there's a difference when you're active duty in the military. You have other spouses to support you and to be there for you. When he went as a contractor, we had nobody. I had no one. You know, I would try and reach out to people from, like, one of our former churches. No one stopped by. No one came over. That 24 hours was the absolute worst time ever. It was June 12th, 2012. I know I didn't sleep for 24 hours. I mean, you know, not knowing what was going on, and then the TV was giving misleading information.
Well, when you say it was giving misleading information, like, because I'm all about fake news, what were they putting out there?
Well, they were saying that 2 contractors had been killed, but that
And
wasn't
they had
the
no
case.
idea
No.
if anybody
It was
had or
anybody.
not.
No. Luckily, the guys that I worked with, they were all high-speed, low-drag guys. You know, special operations, you know, 160th guys, and guys that were Marines and things like that, that they knew what to do. We all knew what to do. And it didn't take a matter of seconds. I mean, we walked out of our rooms wearing flip-flops and Kevlars, you know, so we weren't worried about what we were wearing as long as we had the protection. And it took forever, but in the grand scheme of things, everybody did their job. They knew what to do, you know, because even all our guys weren't armed. We had guys that worked for us that were administrative guys or worked in the chow hall. They weren't armed, but the air crews and stuff that left the base every day, you know, we had clearance to be armed on and whatnot.
So in my mind, I'm sitting here thinking, don't even know if y'all seen the movie. What's it, the 13th Hour? To where this attack on Benghazi.
Watch parts of it.
Okay, it's probably hard. I've always heard from people that's in the military, it's hard to watch stuff like that anyway. But is that kind of what it was like whenever you're in that situation as a contractor? Are you there to protect your administrators? I don't understand why in some of those situations it's not active military and why there is contractors.
It's kind of self-preservation, and to be honest, because some of the jobs that we have civilian contractors doing takes up, our military's been depleted.
Yeah,
you
which
know?
is a joke too.
And that's the biggest thing. You know, there's civilian companies that fly over there just to move troops back and forth unarmed.
I just do not understand when we have what's supposed to be the most powerful, you know, military in the world, why that's ever even an issue.
Afghanistan is huge. You know, you go back and you look at the era of Genghis Khan. He couldn't even take Afghanistan.
And he conquered the world.
He conquered the
Closest
world.
person
Yeah.
ever to conquering the whole world.
Yeah, and you know, and even the Russians tried to take Afghanistan, but their tanks are still sitting over there because everything's in the mountains, you know, and unless you live in those mountains, you don't know what's there.
I can't imagine. And being over there, so with you being a contractor at this point, is it where when it was attacked that you're having to pretty much a firefight right alongside of active duty? Is that how I'm just trying to get a picture in my head.
Our base was completely civilian.
Okay.
We were separated from the military.
So even if stuff would have went more sideways than it went, would the active military that was presence that was close to y'all, would they have been able, because you're contractors, to come defend, or would you have been left on your own?
I don't know.
That's a
one question
joke.
I don't
That's
know the
a
answer
joke. That's why I like. That's a joke.
But anyway, that is kind of what made me decide to stop contracting.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're over there and you're helping and you're doing what you're supposed to for our country, and our military is right up the road, and you're attacked, I just don't understand why that's even. The whole story, even like with Benghazi, all the stuff behind it. I get so pissed every time I hear stuff about it and everything, to where our government left our countrymen to fend for themselves. It's a joke. I have the utmost respect for you even going back as a contractor in the first place.
I mean, I look at it a little different. You know, the CIA guys that go and they go to these clandestine countries and whatnot, you know, they know exactly what they're getting into from day one. But when you've got a huge presence like you do versus one person or two people, it's a different world. You know, you're a target. That's all you are. You're riding around. You got a target on you.
And then that's what I'm guessing you're saying, like what y'all were, is
Right.
it not having that presence, you become the weak one, I guess, is to the insurgents or whatever,
Right.
to where they're like, okay, we can go get them, we can't get this other group. I just, man, that's tough. Woo. No wonder you came back and wanted to help. You've probably seen stuff that I could never imagine in most of the folks. I really thank y'all for sharing with us, by the way. And we had a surprise for y'all today. We wanted to wait until we got to the end. But we're going to have, as y'all know, we do our concerts and everything. We want to do one just for Mission 22 next year. Proceeds go to all y'all. We take our little bit off top to pay the bands and everything. But it's a whole event for y'all. I get to pick the music though, you know. I get to have fun with it, and so does everybody else. But we love everything y'all stand for, everything you do, and I hope that our business here at Raising Grace Studios and anybody out there listening, by the way, if they want to contact y'all to help set up some stuff, to be part of it, how can they go about doing that?
So they can either email me at reneemcdonald@mission22.com, or they can just sign up at mission22.com. They can fill out an information form, or they can follow our Jeeps page. You know.
By the way, if y'all haven't seen their Jeep, go look at their Jeeps page. I'm gonna try to add it to some videos anyway. But y'all's Jeep is, I know why you want to go ride all the time.
It's definitely been the staple of our events. You know, it brings people in to talk to us, and we've been trying to kind of at each event do something more to it. We've had great luck this year. Some of the sponsors have come through to help us with that, to continue with Mission 22 and get the word out there.
That's pretty much every weekend for y'all, right?
Yeah, we've got DS18, one of the speaker companies, has helped us with the speakers and all that we got in there, to where if there's no radio or something in an event we just open the doors of the Jeep and turn it on. We've got some lights coming next week from Quake LED, so it's going to be all lit up at night with
cool.
Different color lights. We can change the colors on them and everything. It'll be
I
all
love
over
when y'all run
Jeep.
the big flagpole in the back.
That started out in the yard.
Did
That was
it?
the yard flag. It was too small.
Oh.
So we kind of repurposed it and put it on the Jeep and made it work.
But
And-
yeah, the Jeep's pretty special to us because it is an icebreaker to conversations. You know, we've had people walk by our tent 10 times and not even stop to read what is on the edge, you know, United in the War Against Veteran Suicide. But as soon as they see the Jeep, they kind of pause for a minute and say, well, wait, what is this? Because, you know, it stands out.
Oh, absolutely. It caught my attention. And then just talking to y'all, I was hooked. I'm glad I saw the Jeep when I did.
You know, Jeeps are the number one vehicle that it has the most aftermarket parts in the world made for it.
Yeah, I've had
So,
one before.
there's-
I've got one now that's sitting in my yard because I keep wanting to do stuff to it, and I don't want to drive it.
There's so much you can do to it. It's almost limitless. And that's really what allows us to do different things. You know, like I said, different companies have helped us out to put different items on it, to where if somebody comes up and talks to us, you know, like, oh, hey, where'd you get those? Where'd you get this? You know, what are you doing with your Jeep? What's your theme? I've been working for the last 4 or 5 months with 2 companies about changing the axles out and putting 1-ton axles under it, so that we can do a little bit more off-roading and things like that.
Y'all
So-
smarter than us country boys. We just we say the heck with it and just take what we got, and we're gonna play until it breaks. But no, thank y'all so much for coming. Thank y'all for what y'all do. We look forward to hopefully doing a lot of stuff with y'all in the future. And what is this right here?
So those are some videos. One of the service members that Kurt served with, Roman.
A buddy of mine posts some videos every once in a while. He's still over there.
Oh, he's serving now.
He's still over there as a contractor doing the job that I did.
oh my gosh, that's cool. He's y'all. I mean, y'all can't see it, but he's got the bay door open. Is that what it is on the whatever they're called?
Somebody's on.
He's got. I can't tell what it is. It's a helicopter, and he's shooting a big gun out of it.
Yeah.
I just don't know
Out the side
technical
window.
the technical term for it. But oh my gosh, I just don't know how. I'm scared of heights, and I'm getting nervous looking at this. I can only imagine having that door open.
Helicopter's the best thing. You can pick up, you can land anywhere.
Oh my gosh, can we share this guy's info?
Yeah.
Is he- is-
absolutely.
is-
They can follow his YouTube channel. It's Spokes and Rotors.
Spokes and Rotors. Y'all want to see some cool stuff? I mean, it's Flight from Cabal. Man, and he's showing the terrain and everything. Yeah, they even ran across some wild horses. This is really cool. Y'all go check it out. It's Spokes and Rotors. But y'all, I couldn't have picked better folks to do second show with. Anything we can do for y'all at Mission 22. Y'all please let us know. Y'all come back anytime, any event, whatever y'all need to do. Y'all got anything else special before we get out of here?
So we have John's Mission for 22, October the 10th, down in Ray City, Georgia. It's at Possum Creek Off-Road Park. That is one of the events that we go to remember one of the service members that we've lost. And then November 21st, we have the South Georgia Jeep Jam, where they are
And
highlighting...
Catfish Festival.
Yes, and they are highlighting veteran suicide at the event for us, which is absolutely fantastic. So we will be there. If you're around, if you want to, come out, stop by the tent, talk to us. You know, we can't help someone if they don't know who we are or what we do.
And don't be scared to go up and talk. Like that, I know with a lot of people that if you think you're going to get judged, these are not the people that are going to judge you. They are going to help you. They are going to befriend you. They ran into this big, ugly, bearded fella right here, and I'm telling you, they've treated me like family the past year. And I don't get to bump into them as much as I want to, but when I do, I see the people they talk to. There's never a stranger. I think I'm talking to you anyway, Renee. She'll talk your head off. Kurt don't talk so much, but when he does, he says really good stuff and really helpful stuff. So
Just like you said, even at one of the concerts last year, we had a young lady. She said, I walked past y'all 7 or 8 times already. What do you do? And then when I explained it to her, come to find out she had actually lost her brother to suicide.
really.
So a lot of people, again, don't realize that it does affect everybody in some way, shape, or form.
Well, y'all just keep fighting a good fight, and I hope, I just hope that people get touched by y'all. And all of Mission 22 is one of those organizations that no matter what, I always going to put like my name behind anything I could ever do. But thank y'all. We're going to go ahead and shut this one down. It was really good, really informative. Anything else?
No, we just want to thank you for having us on.
We appreciate it.
Anytime. Y'all, this door is welcome to y'all anytime. It's always open. Well, folks, thank y'all for tuning in to Politics, Religion, and Whiskey, the Josh Terry podcast, brought to you by Raising Grace Studios. We'll see you next time.